It's Martine, Digital Business Builder here. I'm super excited. I love a fresh month. I think it comes from my old days at Fitness First and being in that sales based role because every month was like an opportunity to start afresh. So I'm like, clear the slate, whatever was last month has been and gone. Here we are, brand new month. It's super exciting. So let me just make sure that we're all here. I am making sure that we're streaming because that's important so I can see your comments. Let me know that you're here, where you're coming in from, and how I can be of service to you today. I would love to see how we can connect and answer your questions. Here we are. So that's working. That is good. This is working. That is good. All right. Let's do the thing. Do the thing. All right. Perfect. So I wanted to get there's a lot of people talking at the moment about all the platforms. I know within our group, we have a really beautiful group of incredible human beings, and it becomes a lot to start sharing on all the platforms. And while I'm teaching and sharing this thing called the Content Machine, which will allow you to reach all the platforms, and I think that's important, I think it's also important to know what are the benefits for each one and where should we be investing our time? And so I've talked about this a bit before about understanding who your audience is and who your customer is and where they are, because that's definitely where you should be. And actually I was speaking to my Robbie yesterday, and we were talking about Boo, Kat, how are you? I was talking about the market, right? And so we have this thing, like I've got this thing that I'm really passionate about sharing because I feel like it's the highest value, the best way that I can be of service. And he's like, yeah, I get that. But what does the market say, right? And then when I come back to that space, which is like, smart guy, when I come back to that space of what is the market saying, there's a lot going on. And so essentially there's one, two, three, four, there's sort of five, there's now six different kinds of social media platforms, right? So we're going to go through those in a little bit. Just now, let me make sure I can see everything that's going on. All right, so let's do this thing. I've got notes everywhere, right? So the first thing is your social networking site. This is like the traditional form of social media. It's what we're all doing in the world. It's the Facebooks, it's the Twitters, it's the LinkedIns. The key piece about a traditional social networking site is that it allows people to connect and to interact. So it allows networking, connection, messaging, community, the thing that I so love, right? This is the main priority of a social networking site as opposed to some of the other sites. And so what it allows people to do is it allows people to experiment with all different kinds of content, different forms of content, to be able to create greater connections. Good morning, Kelly. It's lovely to see your face. Yeah, perfect. So let's talk about Facebook. It's probably not the sexiest of platforms anymore, but it's still, particularly in Australia and New Zealand, the average person logs into Facebook over 29 times per week. So crazy, right? So it still is the big powerhouse, and it is, despite whatever you think about the platforms and whatever you think about Facebook, and if you're in that space of really looking at, the capabilities and what you can and can't say, from a business perspective, Facebook is still an incredibly powerful tool. And the pros for using Facebook is that you can integrate scheduling tools, you can integrate and use other tools within platform. You can now link from Canva and some of the other sort of layers to be able to get people in, right? So I think, or to be able to share your content. I think the other thing that's really great about these, all of them, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, which are your main social networking sites, you can upload and share videos, you can share articles, you can share photos, you can write content, all of those things. And literally they are the most used form of social media. Most commonly used, still most commonly used. I don't think they're going anywhere. That all, yep, that's all. The cons of a Facebook or some of these social networking sites is they don't love you to post external links. So if you get your juju by sharing links to your blog, or if you are constantly sharing insight and driving people to your website, you're probably not going to get the same traction as you would do on one of the other sites. And traditionally, these social networking sites will showcase a personal post higher than a business post on the news feeds. So that's something to consider too. Interesting, I've been in the statistic wormhole this morning for you guys. Interesting statistic that LinkedIn users are more likely to be men. So 57% of men, of 57% of users on LinkedIn are male, which is unusual for a social media site. And good morning, beautiful Beck. And average age for LinkedIn, which I was also surprised about is 25 to 34. And if you consider LinkedIn is the platform, it's a B2B platform. It's a professional services platform. And if you consider just in the world we live in and people and humans and just how we evolve and how we share, most men, when they're 25 to 34, are in that strong career drive. They're in that place where they're looking for significance, they're looking for impact. And so it then makes sense that the place that they're going to be more visible is somewhere like a LinkedIn, where they can actually grow their career and grow those sorts of connections. So cool, right? Okay, so the next kind of platform, that's social networking. We know all about them. I don't think they're going anywhere just yet, right? Photo sharing is your next big platform. So this is your Instagram and your Pinterest. They're the biggest photo sharing platforms. Now, these photo sharing platforms can still interact with people. You can still tag, like, comment, message, all of that stuff from these platforms. What they help people do, they really help businesses and people display photography and for great visual storytelling, right? So this is great for e-commerce brands. It's great for any photo-based business. Yes, Kat, I'm looking at you. Actually, Beck, I'm also looking at you, right? So this is really great for any organization that is a photo-based organization. I'm finding what I love, some of the people who I think do this really well. If you ever want to get hack trick, if I ever want to get inspiration for how to display e-commerce and products, I quite often go to some of the bigger players, right? So I was doing some work for a very large telco company last year, a little bit of work, and they are in 30 odd countries. And so when I looked at other telcos, if I looked at what Vodafone was doing, if I looked at Verizon and some of those big actually Vodafone do it super well across the board. I'd say if you wanted inspiration on on that kind of product, go to the big players and see what they're doing. The other company, if you're in a retail space, that I think do super well is go and have a look at something like a Westfield, right? Westfield are great at showcasing different layers of products and brands. I think they do an epic job, right? If you consider the average Westfield has, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 customers. And so they're showcasing all of these customers. The way they showcase products and brands is super, super, super cool. Now, here's the thing with, say, photo sharing platforms like your Instagram and your Pinterest, that photo sharing has seen the rise of the influencer. So influencer marketing has become ginormous based on this kind of platform. And now what we're seeing, and it's been quite prevalent for a long time, and those of you who are not using it, get there, because 83% of people who are looking for a new product will check the Instagram feed, and 80% of people use Instagram to facilitate a buying decision. Now this is for product bases, right? So not necessarily for service based, but definitely for product base. So if you're an e-commerce business, if you have if you're retail, anything like that, if you've got a product, hospitality is another one. Hospitality is a big one. Health and fitness is a big one. So we were talking Kelly, that's Kelly Byrne, if you're here watching, and my beautiful people at Deep Yoga, Deep Beauty, Deep Pilates. people are looking at your Instagram account to decide whether they're going to attend or visit your studio, right? And so and they're measuring it against other Instagram accounts. So for example, if you've got up here in Port Douglas, we've got, and the Deep community and my community and clients as well. So you might have someone coming from, Brisbane and Total Fusion, which is a business that I was heavily involved in the beginning, and they're going to be looking at the Total Fusion experience, and that's the experience they have, and then they come to Port Douglas for a holiday, and what they're comparing us to is what they usually do, right? So it's about being able to meet that perception. So the pros for your photo sharing platforms are that, good morning, Deborah, how are you? Nice to see you this morning. Hello, Chloe. Yes, we definitely will be seeing you when Kat does your pictures. Totally. So the pros for this is it's great for brand awareness. In fact, I was looking at a big company yesterday with Chloe, and I'm like, no, I wasn't with Chloe, I was Kelly, sorry. And they don't have any Instagram. No Instagram. And that's okay. They're a big company. They actually have they don't need to be using Instagram to grow because they are already just doing such ridiculous volume. But what it would do for them is give them a greater brand awareness. It would give them a greater community presence. And so for that, I think it's super valuable, even if you're not using it for a revenue driver. 60% of users learn more about products on Instagram, right? So 60% of people are there to find products and services. Stories show a visual contrast or visual context of what the businesses are about, and people can experiment with short videos. So this is super cool. The harder part around that is you might need to invest in a photo budget. Hello, social startup friends. All of you guys here in my social startup that I can see online. This is your investment to be able to show up on your photo sharing sites, right? Because we give you some of that support. So I would say for any businesses, investing in a photo budget or a production budget, if you're going to use this platform, is super valuable. I can 100% tell when someone has a clear Instagram strategy versus when someone does not, right? So I can tell, others can tell too, right? They don't need to be a strategic marketer to be able to get what's going on in there. So, guys, nailed it. The next so we've gone social networking, we've done photo sharing, the next one is video sharing. This is YouTube and Vimeo, right? These are the two platforms there. Now, 88% of marketers said that video gives them a strong ROI. Now, those in our startup, last month I was talking about video, how to use video, right? Get your videos out there. This is a super important way to be seen and being heard online. And you don't have to create epic productions, although if you had the budget, that's definitely worth an investment down the track. But definitely moving pictures can totally work. And I've been looking at video in a different way. And even if I go to the movies, which I haven't done for ages, or some TV was on, I was watching something, and the most basic TV commercials are just videos. They're slideshow with bits and pieces. They're not always highly produced. To be fair, it's regional TV and it's not the best, but it's still very doable. You don't have to always have huge production costs. The benefit of these video sharing is they are highly linked to SEO, and Vimeo is very community driven, right? And you can see that Facebook has jumped on this a little bit, and Instagram, with Facebook Lives being something that's now so prevalent on their platforms. So the pros of using video sharing platforms is that you have people can stay, or you can create a longer than usual video on, say, YouTube and Vimeo than you would on, say, a LinkedIn or an Instagram, right? So LinkedIn is less than 10 minutes. Instagram is very short. So you can have a longer than usual video. You can link to websites from YouTube and Vimeo, which is super cool. They have really great analytics, and yes, you can SEO, because YouTube is owned by Google. And so the SEO capabilities are super strong, right? Now that can be a con too, because what you'll need to have is you'll have to have more of a back-end SEO if you're going to use YouTube very well. And obviously the production cost and production time is something that can be a barrier for people using video sharing. But that is those ones. All right, let's just see if I missed anyone. No, you're all there. How you going? So many things. So many things. Now, there's interactive media, right? This is your Snapchats and your TikToks. Snapchats and TikToks are generally used by Gen Z, so 16 to 24s. They are video and photo based, but they are highly interactive and they allow users to be super creative. You can add music and themes and filters and all these ways to create your own style and your own vibe. At the moment, big companies are only just starting to trial how to use Snapchat and TikTok in their marketing, but what they're doing is they're producing super high, like they're creating a high quality production to be able to go into that marketplace to be able to compete, right? So it's definitely catering for young audiences. I think most of us are not in like super big business stage. I'd like for us all to be there this time next year, right? But in the scope of like what we're doing, with these being one, younger markets, and two, still being relatively untested from an ROI, it's not something that I think we need to focus on as far as building our business and building our brands are, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So the pros are that it's creative, it's definitely experiential, it has a younger audience, and you can always share like the behind the scenes, so it can be a really cool insight into behind the scenes. Mary will create a video on a Snapchat or a TikTok, and then she'll download it and she'll share that onto her Instagram because of the creation capabilities on TikTok versus on, say, Instagram Reels. So I'm seeing that happen a little bit too. What else can I tell you about this? The cons. The cons are, business accounts are not really promoted. You can only use it on your phone, right? And obviously there's a higher production cost. So this is a thing. Now, what do we got? Social networking, photo sharing, video sharing, interactive media. There's blogging. I'm not going to go big into blogging right now because there's the elephant in the room. Oh yes, you know what I'm talking about. Clubhouse. Clubhouse is audio chat, right? This is the new thing, right? It's about talking and telling stories, and so it allows people to meet and make connections. When you log into Clubhouse, you can you get invited into rooms, right? So it was developed as a way to help people get past the barrier of camera time because it's camera free, so they didn't have to worry about their appearances and keeping up with the Joneses and all of those things. It's audio only. And a good way to think of it is if you are walking into a conference room, it's like you're walking into a live Q&A that's happening all around you, right? So I'm a highly visual person. So people said to me, oh, have you joined Clubhouse? Like, I'm so visual. So, and if I walk into a live Q&A at a networking event, I generally will walk out and go to the toilet. So probably not my space right now. Not to say that I'm not interested to see how it goes. There's a bunch of people in my community. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon and jumping in there. Look, I love podcasting, and podcasting is audio. So I could change my mind. But at this stage, one, it's still in beta testing mode. It's iPhone only. They're still evolving what they want it to be. And in my head, for me, my perspective, it's like I've already got a couple of platforms that I'm focusing on. So until there's more data in there and I feel more aligned, it's not a place for me. But if you are an audio person, if you are a crazy podcast lover and you love audio as a medium for connecting with people and talking to people, if you love the idea of making connections and telling stories and meeting and greeting people, this is your thing. I don't think you can be an observer in this space, right? I think you have to be a content creator. But again, I'm not in the back end of it, so I don't really understand or know all the pieces. That's it. All the social medias in the house. There's a lot, right? And so start with one. Because that's the easiest way to go. And when you feel like you got that one, get another one. and another one, and another one. Find your main platform, right? If your main platform's Facebook, if your main platform's Instagram, if your main platform's LinkedIn, if your main platform's YouTube, doesn't matter. Find your one. What type of business is Clubhouse suitable for? Well, it's sort of untested at the moment. I would say people who are education based. So people who are sharing content and education. It'd be great for coaches, speakers, educators, course creators. I'd say that would be the people. Probably great for people like me. If I could just get my head over having to listen to stuff without having a visual reference. Yeah, so I'd say great for courses, coaches, educators, those kinds of people, because it's about sharing information. It's a great networking site. So if you're a networker, I'm not a networker. If you love networking events and you love meeting and greeting people, it'd be great for you, right? So I think it's a great way to connect. Like if you find yourself going to, say, BNI groups or business BX groups, and you love, like, you know, going to live Q&As and networking events, you might enjoy it. For me, I'm like, I don't like any networking events. It's not my space. I like the one-on-ones or the one-to-screen, funnily enough. So yes, hopefully that helps. All right, quick question time. I've been talking non-stop for 22 minutes. Any questions that you have about this? Based on what I've told you today, what do you think? Do you know what your main platform is, right? Do you have a clear idea? Well, Kat says, I'm not sure how it works. What, I just start up a room and hope someone turns up? I would say when you go in there, again, I haven't been in, it's not my place. I would say you would join other rooms where conversation's happening. That's what I would do to start off with. Yeah. So I see it. And you're a great networker, Kat, so it might work really, really well for you to go in and participate and connect. But again, it's new, so there's no data on how it's going to work for you or not work for you. It's about building connections. So again, the question is, where do you want to spend your time? And are there other spaces? If time is important, or the lack of time is an issue, then, you know, give it a bit of time that you're willing to invest just to understand it more. Like I said, for me, when I look at it, I've had several invitations. I'm like, no, give them to someone else. It's not my medium, right? Audio is not my medium. Okay. Any other questions for me today, guys? I know there's been a huge, big download, lot to consider. What I'd love for you to really think about is what's your main platform, number one, and then pick maybe one or two secondary platforms. Start there, right? Those of you who are doing my content machine, great. Still, pick your main platform. Time is your villain. I'm with you. Yeah, pick your main platform, stay there, and then repurpose to the other platforms. Those of you who are in the startup, our focus this month is taking action, right? And it'll be start with your main platform and then your secondary platforms after that. Start with one customer, all of those things. Chloe, I'd like to have a clear Facebook and Instagram strategy. Post general unrated pictures, little promo. Looking image libraries. Do you have any food-based image libraries? Chloe, that's probably a question for the social startup. So why don't you make sure that you jump into the What's Up Wednesday workshops, because we can talk live then. Yeah, perfect. All right. Yeah, we don't do food-based image libraries. We do general image libraries, but that's why you have a cat, right? That's what she's got. Perfect. All right, lovely ones. Have the best day. Have the best week. Happy February. Super excited. Wipe the slate. Start from scratch. You totally have this. I believe in you, and I can't wait to see what your week looks like.